Okay, folks, I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. You can always reach the show at 706-889-9700, chief at fetchernews.com, and also there's the social media ways that you can follow the show. Now, at 9 o'clock, we're going to make sure exactly at 9 o'clock we're going to do an update on the Justin McKinney, put that picture up there, Justin McKinney murder in Fannin County. You don't want to miss this. There's some new information or confirmed or whatever. And the attempted murder of Anna Franklin. So we're going to discuss that there at 9 o'clock. All right, take that down. All right, so folks, please, you need to understand, I'm a supporter. I don't care. I'll look right in the camera. I support the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. I just do. I've not changed that. I understand what they're doing. I know you don't think I do. You feel that I don't have the education to understand what's going on, but I do. I've watched it. I'm not a bumbling idiot. I'm not bumbling at all. I'm not Joe Biden the gaffe machine. I'm not, all the above. In fact, I remember it seems like it was just yesterday, Trump was doing all those business roundtables all over the United States where companies, manufacturers, employees were thanking the president for the changes that had taken place. Now, Obama wanted credit for it. And the companies did not say, well, Obama should get some of the credit and you should get some of the credit and we're going to split it 70-30, 50-50. These corporations, these timber corporations up in Minnesota, these corporations all over the United States, all right, thanking the president for what he has done in his administration to get their companies moving again to where they were putting on jobs, increasing jobs, making plans for new plants, all the above. Seems like that was just yesterday. It seems like just a year ago that was happening. It just seems like that to me. And how it could crash this fast, I don't know. Okay? I mean, when I say I don't know, how it could crash this fast, there's only one answer. The deep state, Federal Reserve, put the brakes on. It's a methodical plan to let you know that Trump was a mistake. It can never happen again. Those are not my words. We're very fortunate the guy is a fighter, and he's up this morning fighting again for you, the American people. So anyhow, what number was that? Which one did you say before the break had his name on it? Yeah, put that up there. There it is. I wanted to say, because it says this, and it's all over all the screens. Trump travel ban keeps Yemeni mother from seeing dying 2-year-old in Oakland. I tell you, you heartless bastard right here 2 weeks before Christmas. I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to write SNL. And I'm going to tell SNL to bring in Alec Baldwin and all of their bumbling idiots and do a skit on this right here for the weekend. Oh my gosh, this is what Trump's travel ban. Nothing about keeping this country safe, nothing at all. So let me ask you, do you know this guy, number one, if I was to put him in a lineup, number one, I think his name's Jerome Powell. We'll get to it in a minute. He is the chair of the Federal Reserve. And it was his job to start bringing the economy down at the appropriate time. So he's been running his mouth. Don't think he doesn't know what he's doing. Don't think he does not know. I mean, I remember back in the 80s, let's see. All right, so this is the current chair. Here's a couple of people you need to get to know. You need to, if you want to start doing some research. You remember this guy here? Number 2? Remember Ben Bernanke? Okay. Now let's go to number 3. The modern day Federal Reserve, core of Federal Reserve there that has orchestrated. I mean, you remember, let's see, you have the big, tall, bald guy with glasses, the big, tall, bald guy. That's Paul Volcker, okay? And then you have Alan Greenspan. Remember when everybody waited for Alan Greenspan to go up? I mean, you could hear a pin drop. He would go to Capitol Hill during the Reagan administration, and they would report, Greenspan's headed up. Greenspan just got out of the car. How will the market react? Greenspan's shoes untied. Is that an indicator rates will go up or down today? Okay, what is the indicators? All right, he is in the room. He is sit down. He's at the mic. What will he say? And the whole world would hush, waiting for Greenspan to say whether he was going to go up a quarter or how he felt the economy. I mean, I'm telling you, if they come in and they sit down and they say, we report today that the economy is stable and we see no need to go up, and we think things are on the right track, then everybody runs and buys on the stock market, right? And then you got Janet Yellen in there. You need to get to know these people. You want to know what this means? I'm going to tell you something, all right? And this is all I'm going to say. Let's go to number 5. If you want to know what this means, you need to follow, research, and review who the Federal Reserve is. Now, the President of the United States comes into office. Okay, we are not in great economic times. We are in the delusional state of what the media said is a recovery, but we don't have a real recovery. We have a phony recovery based on phony money that is not a real economy, all right? So we've done the quantitative easing, and we've done all of the shovel-ready jobs, and we truly do not have a sustainable economy on its own feet based on any real, true, just simple economic principles. None whatsoever. The President of the United States comes in, and he brings a couple things to the table. Now, what does business need? Business needs the shackles taken off them. All right? They need the shackles. They need to, every time they turn around and they're trying to build a highway, every time they turn around, they're trying to build a pipeline and get permits. Every time they turn around, they're trying to get their property approved and not take 18 years, and then to get enough operating capital from a bank that is not working under this high, I mean 3 and 4 feet tall, of Dodd-Frank, okay, banking regulations. That's what they need. They got to get it to where they can get some operating capital, and I'm not talking about from quantitative easing from a bank. A real business has to be able to get a loan and get some operating capital that they can work with, some, what do you call it, some revolving credit there, revolving credit to operate their business, a line of credit for operating business, all right? They need all the shackles off, and the companies need to get the regulations off so they can grow, period. So Donald Trump comes in, and then they need money. They need money to operate. So Donald Trump comes in, and go to number 23. Now, whether you like the guy or not, all right, he brings in Scott Pruitt. Pruitt at this time, Secretary of the EPA or EPA Administrator. Now, whether you like the guy or not, he Oklahoma Attorney General. Oklahoma Attorney General took on the EPA, lawsuit after lawsuit. I mean, he beat them up, the EPA. This guy was ready to go. He knew what he was doing, and he crisscrossed this country and took regulations off of business and regulations off Americans, everyday Americans, and to get this engine moving again. We were totally stalled in place of manufacturing. We were stalled in place of moving forward in any real way whatsoever economically with the full engine by the EPA. How dare you? And he did for 2 years, almost 2 years. I know he's gone, and they found, if you know, they found reasons to beat him up, and he had to go, and it didn't look good. He had an apartment. What was the apartment? His wife had an apartment in Washington, D.C., $200 a month, something like that. I forget, from a lobbyist. Everything said, but the guy went through. Trump knew that the EPA had to be handled. The second thing, but he's gone now. They didn't stop till they got rid of him. This guy just recently will be leaving at the end of the year, number 2. All right, Ryan Zinke. All right, number 2. No, I'm sorry. What number did I don't have his, I didn't put his number up there. What number is it? I named it Ryan Zinke. There you go. I'm sorry. I didn't put a number to it. He is Secretary of the Interior. Once again, I mean, Interior, whether it be EPA, Interior, being able to go and logging timber, getting timber moving again in this country. All the EPA and Interior has so much to do with the coal industry, logging, natural resources in this country, how we can move forward and get the economic engine, the real power of the economic engine moving. Well, he's gone. They got rid of him, all right? So they got rid of him. They've gone after him. He's gone. Then Trump knew that he had to do to get the engine moving, get it primed to get a real economy. So he gets EPA, he gets Interior. Then he goes after what? He goes after Dodd-Frank. And he gets Dodd-Frank chopped up, beat up, cut up, and thrown out in so many different ways that now bankers could start giving you operating money, right? So you got bankers giving you operating money, right? And that's one thing, okay? Bankers giving you operating money. Interior, EPA, regulations, natural resources, moving right along. Well, I think we're the world's largest developer of oil right now, petroleum products, I think. I don't know, are we? Okay. I'm telling you, it's going right through the Interior, right through EPA. World's largest, number one producer, okay, of oil right now, United States of America. You see the 2 offices, okay? That's real. And now you have small business that's excited, okay? And they're able to get through Dodd-Frank. What was the last thing he needed to do? He needed to do a tax plan. And he needed to do a tax plan that got offshore money that was parked offshore, okay? Now, they don't talk about all of the new distribution centers that Amazon is building. They don't talk about the new offices that Google is putting in. They don't talk about the new production plant that Apple is putting. They don't want to talk about any of that. But Donald Trump knew that real money was parked offshore in the area of trillion, if not more, $1 trillion was parked offshore. So there's something called repatriate. And our corporate tax was next to the highest in the world. And he knew if our corporate tax went down, that the companies that are here would be more interested in staying here, number one, and they would be more interested in growing their U.S.-based business here. And then if they could repatriate money at one time, bring it in and repatriate money and not pay an enormous amount of tax and not keep it offshore, they would do what? They would infuse this economy with close to $1 trillion of what? Real money. Real money. And that's the key to me. Now, I might not be an economist, but real money. Infuse the economy with $1 trillion of real money. Build a real economy around our natural resources and get the shackles off of us from the EPA. Get business moving again. get Dodd-Frank out of the way, where a small business could go sit down with the bank, and the bank could see all the indicators, and the interest rate is low, and you got a small business saying, you know what, now I've decided. You got somebody that perfected a mom and pop donut shop their whole life, and they've always wanted to franchise, or they wanted to build 4 more, and they've just been nervous about that kind of growth. Guess what? Real money's in the economy. It had spurred a real economy that want to buy the donut. You got a real bank without shackles on it that want to loan the small business and create a credit line for you, right? All the above, and you want to expand, and you're looking for employees, and now you've created the lowest employment rate, highest optimism in small business, consumer confidence, all the above. Because what? It was all real. I don't know how to explain it. It was all real. Just real stuff that was happening in a real economy. But guess who you didn't borrow the money from? Now our debt is still climbing, and we are still printing money, and we are still growing in debt, and we are still borrowing. I'm not saying we're not, but on the economy side, when they talk about the Obama recovery, you go take a minute and read just pull up quantitative easing. QE1, QE2, QE3, where they just shove money out there in the streets. Literally, street sweepers were sweeping up the money. That's a joke, but they shoved money out and they printed it so fast. But everything the Trump administration did within a year, 1 year alone, was real. And guess who they didn't have to borrow the $1 trillion from? Number 3. Put up number 3, please. They didn't have to borrow it from the Federal Reserve. Now, yes, I'm not an economist, so yes, the Federal Reserve is still pumping out money, printing phony money. We have to buy it because we don't, that's all Congress. See, that's all Congress and the debt. But the actual economy, the ball that's rolling, Trump didn't have to go to them and say, could you put, Trump, remember, now I do understand the economic situation that Barack Obama came into, okay? And let's go back, because let's go to number 2. I'm thinking Ben Bernanke is the guy that was running the printing press at that time at the Federal Reserve. And remember when Barack Hussein Obama came into office, all right? When he came into office, what happened? Financial collapse, right? Major financial collapse. And this guy was a student of the Great Depression, and he was going to steer us through it. And Obama came in and needed an $800 billion stimulus package. $800 billion that he could just shove out there. Shovel-ready jobs, giving it away to public utilities, whatever and everything he could do. Cash for clunkers, get the auto industry going again, whatever he could do. But he went to him and said, I'll tell you what. He went to Congress. Congress said yes, passed it, and they said, yes, we'll give you $800 billion. Now, if you think $800 billion is all you printed and put out into the economy in the last 10 years for Obama to go around and say what he did, you're sorely mistaken. So when Trump comes into office, Trump does exactly what I said. He doesn't go to Bernanke, he doesn't go to Yellen, and he doesn't ask for a new loan. Because, see, the 4 of them, let's go back to the 4, all right? The 4 of them, going back to Volcker, all right? Remember, going back to Paul Volcker, the tall, bald guy on the end, all right? That's Jimmy Carter's Federal Reserve chair. That's Jimmy Carter's, okay? And the only reason the President of the United States picks, nominates, and the Senate quickly confirms, you just never hear about it, but they approve it, is so they could fool you into thinking the Federal Reserve is beholden to the American people in some ways. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's a kind gesture that they go ask you who could be the next Federal Reserve, but by no means do they wait for you to tell them. So it's all a facade, and it's all a charade. When Trump come out, and I'm going to tell you, the media keeps telling you, and this is the BSS, all right? Go to number 1, okay? And what is this guy's name again? Let me go back here to the internet, the big internet here. Okay. His name's Jerome H. Powell. He is the Federal Reserve Board Chair. They will tell you he's a Trump appointee. So every time the media talks about the down economy, the potential of recession, and the worst market since December of the Great Depression, and the worst year in the market since the Great Collapse of 2008, they will bring him up and they will say, but he's a Trump appointee. Do not, please, if you're arguing with your friends, do enough study to have, I'm going to spit it out, have an educated argument with them. This guy is going to be told he's a Trump appointee, but he's not. He's the furthest thing from it. He's a designate. He's a designated next in line. The Federal Reserve plays no games with the United States government. You need to get that straight. This guy, you know, they told Trump, this is the new guy. It's only a courtesy to the American people. The only reason you have, okay, the only reason you have, okay, chair of the Federal Reserve, okay, and you do know the Federal Reserve was signed into law by Woodrow Wilson, okay, Woodrow Wilson, all right. Charles Sumner Hamlin was the first, okay, Federal Reserve chair. And I'm telling you now, you need to take enough time to look at this. And the reason this is happening right now is hopefully people will start doing the research. But the, where is it at? It's the Banking Act of 1935, okay? And I was trying to find all of the locations of the Federal Reserve, but you'll hear the Federal Reserve of Atlanta, you'll hear the Federal Reserve of Chicago, you'll hear, I think, the Federal Reserve of San Francisco, and like I said earlier, not just to be redundant, is the only reason the Federal Reserve staged these offices across the United States was to give the illusion to the American people it was not a concentrated power in one place of your money. But that's false. That's the furthest thing from the truth. It is. They are not federal, period. This guy is not a Trump appointee, although President Trump came out on the lawn and said, this is the next Federal Reserve chair that I picked. You go into a room and you don't come out, and this is who they pick, and it's a formality. Now, the point I'm getting to is everything I told you earlier was real. The President of the United States put in place. $1 trillion came offshore. Money pushed into the economy, all right? Now, what happens? You go up to the bank and you're a small business and you got a $250,000 revolving credit, okay? You got a credit line. It's called a credit line, all right? And you do it once a year, okay? And you can go get up to $250,000 at any time, all right? But what you do is you actually just use the credit line as operating capital. Now, you use it as operating capital, and you're supposed to only get at the end of the week. So, if at the end of the week, you know, payroll and, you know, the light bill and everything is $10,000 and there's $8,200 in the bank, you know, you move over $1,800, not $250,000, you move over $1,800. And then when it comes in, you pay it down 100% and you revolve around it because you don't want to pay the interest on it no longer than you have to. And you're only borrowing out of the line every month what you need to take. Now, for example, If you're operating in a product, or you're operating where your money doesn't turn as fast as you want it to, you have to have operating capital. You have to have operating capital for growth. So two things, your credit lines in this country that businesses operate on. Okay, now you, the country, you operate on your credit line. It's as simple as that. So every time a quarter point goes up, you pay more. The United States of America pays more, and you can't operate at the same amount, and your debt continues to go up, and it increases every time they go up because you're having to pay your bill. Period. That's not your Federal Reserve. It's not your dollar. Same for the business. Why they're trying to slow things down on purpose. So you got a business person, go get a $200,000 credit line. Your DOS is 45 days outstanding. Your DOS, so you're looking, you got 30-day column, 45-day column, and 90-day column. And trust me, if you've ever been in a business or in a position where after 45 days, everything over that's uncollected money in your company, you no longer are available for bonuses on, you'll make sure your DOS is 45 days and under. Been there. So anyhow, but if you're operating on about 45 days and you're operating a couple $100,000 at a time, you're going to have to pay suppliers to keep product coming in on their deadline days on the 10th of the month or the 20th of the month. You're going to have to pay your people. You're going to have to pay the upkeep on your equipment. You're going to have to pay your overhead. So you might have a $200,000 roll. I'm sorry to touch the mic. You might have a $200,000 a month, what's called a roll. Okay, and you have to have operating money to when you need $25,000, $50,000, and keep rolling. Well, guess what? When it goes up a quarter point, you have to make some decisions because now the cost of putting that back is a lot more. So you got to slow down your rate of growth. You have to make new decisions on what you're going to do as far as growing your business. Let's say you're going to put a new shop. You've decided you're going to go build the next store in the chain. And you got the math and you got the blueprints, or you got the business plan and everything's together, and you go to the bank and you say, look, last week it was going to cost me, $600,000 to put this new store in, and I'd like to do it over, 10 years or whatever. And they say, well, last week over 10 years it was going to not cost you $600,000, it's going to cost you $710,000. Now it's going to cost you, $750,000. And that's the difference sometimes. You're saying, well, I better put that project on hold and put it back on the shelf. Now, I don't know if I've done any good at all, but this is exactly what you're seeing right now with the Federal Reserve wanting to open up. Now, one article says, eighth of the U.S. economy erased since Fed chair spouted off in October. $4 trillion in wealth gone. Fire the jackass already. President Donald Trump has tweeted out, it is incredible that with a very strong dollar and virtually no inflation, the outside world blowing up around us, Paris is burning and China way down, the Fed is even considering yet another interest rate hike, take the victory. Now, I don't understand why they need to continue to raise the rates right now, okay? But the media is doing everything they can to manipulate the situation to get you to believe that economically 2019 will be a disaster. And what will 2019 be? Just in time for 2020 election, right? They're determined that 2019 is a disaster. No matter how you feel this morning, no matter how your business is going this morning, no matter what. Because I'm going to tell you one more thing. Federal Reserve expected, this is from the Washington Post. Federal Reserve expected to hike interest rates Wednesday, a move Trump calls foolish and incredible. President Trump on Monday urged Federal Reserve not to raise interest rates, but Fed officials are widely expecting to do so this week, despite the president's public effort to dissuade the United States Central Bank from putting any brakes on the economy. Putting the brakes on the economy. That's not his job. True capitalism should roll. And these people are trying to put the brakes on the economy for one reason and one reason only. to help their effort in stopping the President of the United States. Because like I told you, Donald Trump didn't go to them for the loan. He created the atmosphere for a real economy with real money. And the deep state, the people that control things, they're not happy. They're absolutely not. They want to put the brakes on it. So I want to say I'm going to take a break. We'll come back and talk about it a little more at 9:30. At 9 o'clock, I want to do my update on Justin McKinney and Anna Franklin, the Justin McKinney murder in Fannin County. I want to do my update on that at 9 o'clock. And some things we got going on there just to give you where we're at on that. And then we'll come back right after that. That'll take about 15 minutes, and then we'll come back after the update, and we'll do we'll finish up with some of these things right here as far as the Federal Reserve and some things, other things going on. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. Take us a break.